The slap echoed before I even understood what had happened. My daughter froze, one small hand pressed against her cheek, her lip trembling. The room went silent. Then laughter, soft at first, then rolling, unashamed. My mother-in-law stood over her, the half-empty plate in hand. "You little brat," she hissed. "You're just as selfish as your father." The laughter grew louder. My wife looked down, pretending to fix her napkin. No one stopped her. No one moved. Something in me split quietly, like glass cracking beneath pressure. I reached forward, caught the old woman by her hair, and bent low until she could hear my voice above the laughter. "You should never have said that," I whispered. Her eyes widened. She tried to pull away, but I wasn't angry. I was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that precedes something irreversible. The room shifted. The laughter died. For the first time that evening, everyone looked at me. They called it a misunderstanding, a moment blown out of proportion. I apologized, publicly, calmly, respectfully, because rage is best served with restraint. But later that night, as my daughter slept with a swollen cheek, I sat alone on the porch, watching the lights from my mother-in-law's house flicker across the yard. Something in those windows always felt wrong, too bright, too inviting, like a stage set for deceit. She'd always hated me, called me poor, unworthy, lucky to have married her daughter. But today's insult had been different. It wasn't just anger, it was familiarity. "You're just as selfish as your father." The phrase replayed like a needle caught on the same groove. How could she speak of my daughter's father with such venom, unless she wasn't talking about me? That thought lodged itself in my mind like a splinter. I went back inside, stared at the sleeping faces of my wife and daughter, and realized the truth might already be there, hidden, waiting. Over the next week, I watched, quietly, methodically. My wife avoided me. My mother-in-law called every night. Their conversations were short but tense. I listened from the hall, enough to catch the tone, never the words. At dinner, my daughter would ask innocent questions. "Daddy, why doesn't Grandma like you?" My wife would smile too quickly. "She's just old, sweetheart. Old, cruel, and careless." I found an old photo in my wife's drawer. My daughter as a newborn, cradled not by me, but by her mother and that woman. My wife's eyes were swollen, red. My mother-in-law was smiling, wide and proud, but not at the baby, at someone behind the camera. I turned the photo over, a date, a name scribbled in faint ink. "For you, Mom, we did it." The penmanship wasn't hers, it was my wife's. That night I swabbed the inside of my daughter's cheek while she slept, a quiet act of love, or madness. When the DNA report arrived, it was almost anticlimactic. A single page, black and white, simple, brutal. Probability of paternity, 0%. I sat at the kitchen table for hours staring at the numbers. No tears, no anger, just silence, a deep, surgical silence cutting through everything I'd built. I called my wife. "Come home," I said. "Bring your mother." When they arrived, I slid the envelope across the table. My daughter's drawing lay beside it, a picture of the three of us holding hands beneath a crooked sun. My wife opened the report, read the result, and went pale. Her mother looked confused, then terrified. "You knew," I said quietly, "didn't you?" My wife's lips trembled. "It wasn't supposed to." "It never is." Her mother's voice broke through, sharp and defensive. "You wouldn't have taken care of them if you knew the truth." I smiled faintly. "No, but I took care of you long enough to find it." I didn't shout, I didn't threaten, I just leaned back and placed a set of documents on the table. The house deed, the bank accounts, the divorce papers, all in my name. All already signed. I moved everything 2 weeks ago, I said, before I ordered the test. I just wanted to see if my suspicion was worth confirming. My wife stared, frozen. Her mother's face twisted into disbelief. You planned this? Yes. I stood, gathered the papers neatly, and turned toward the door. My daughter stays with me. You two can go back to wherever you came from. But remember, when you call her selfish, you're talking about yourselves. My wife sobbed. My mother-in-law tried to speak, but I didn't turn back. I'd already heard everything worth hearing. The next morning, the house was quiet. My daughter sat at the table, eating the last cutlet. I watched her smile, genuine, unafraid. When she noticed me, she hesitated. Is Grandma coming back? No, I said softly. She's not. She nodded, satisfied, and kept eating. I poured myself a cup of coffee and sat beside her. For the first time in years, the silence didn't hurt. Betrayal doesn't destroy you. It refines you. It burns away the weakness you mistook for love. Outside, the morning sun touched the window, faint and cold. And as my daughter laughed quietly to herself, I realized the last cutlet was never the problem. It was always about who believed they owned the plate.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.